which hopefully I just corrected because I was told that I did a video yesterday without audio. So don't want that to happen again. Hopefully this is with audio. So good afternoon. My name is Brad Micklin. I'm the managing member and lead attorney for the Micklin Law Group. We're a law firm concentrated in men's and fathers' rights in divorce, custody, and family law issues with offices in Nutley, Montclair, New Jersey. Today is November 7, 2019. This is my weekly how-to series where I give a little more information than I do in my daily tip, go a little deeper into issues that I find confront clients often with the hopes that the information will help you. So today's how-to video is how to divide assets in a New Jersey divorce. And I may have done videos similar to this, but it's a very difficult issue, so I like to keep my information fresh. So there's going to be basically three main steps that you need to be aware of and understand in order to divide assets in a New Jersey divorce. The first is you have to understand the theory or legal principle behind the division of assets and debts as well as assets, but primarily assets are the main focus. And the principle is called equitable distribution. And that's important because a lot of people think it's 50-50 and it's not. If it were, it'd be called equal distribution and it's not. Many states have equal distribution. New Jersey does not. It's called equitable distribution. Now, admittedly, most of the time it is going to be equally divided because there aren't many reasons that it shouldn't be, but there are some to be aware of in case they apply in your case. The first is where there's significantly unequal contribution to the acquisition or development of an asset. Like one spouse earned significantly more than the other and there weren't children involved, so there's no stay-at-home component or family issue. There may have been dissipation of marital assets or acquisition of significant debts like credit cards that would suggest why an asset should be unequally divided. You may also want to waive alimony or other payments that might be due in lieu of giving up certain assets so you're getting a greater share of the assets. You might be paying a greater amount of the debt, so you should be getting more of the assets. But just remember, it doesn't have to be equal. It's supposed to be equitable, which basically means fair. The second is you need to understand the basic types of assets in a divorce. And I don't mean like stocks and investment accounts and cars and houses. I mean how they are viewed. There's four main kinds of assets in a divorce case. There's a premarital asset, a postmarital asset, an active asset, and a passive asset. Premarital, obviously, is something that was owned before the marriage. Postmarital is something that was owned after the marriage. Active is an asset that its value depends on and changes by contributions like running a business or buying a house and making mortgage payments. A passive asset is one whose value changes because of market conditions, like a retirement account or a stock and investment account. Then the last thing you need to know is how those four types of assets can change over the course of your marriage. So for instance, you can have a premarital asset like a home, and if you live in the home and you contribute to the home, there's going to be a post-marital value to that same asset, which is also as an important aspect to that example, that also could change from an active asset to a passive asset. For instance, if you are living in your home, and let's say you own your home before you get married, that's an active asset, even though it's premarital. It's a premarital active asset. You're living in it, you're contributing to it, you're fixing up, you're paying the mortgages. That's active. Now, if you get married and you move out of that home into another home and you start to rent that home, that becomes a passive asset because now you're no longer living in it, you're no longer making the mortgage payments, you're not contributing to it. That is a post-marital passive asset. So the key to take from this last step is the four types of assets can change. So nothing necessarily starts as one and ends. It will have different components. Different assets can go from active to passive, passive to asset, or passive to active, as well as pre and post marital. So you really want to take those, and I guess along those lines, lastly, once you're aware of these three aspects and how they change, you want to be able to document them. And that's a difficult, challenging aspect to dividing assets because a lot of times you're not really planning during your marriage to get divorced, so you're not aware that you might need to start documenting different assets at different points of time. If you are, for instance, realizing that, or if you're watching this video, you might want to start doing it. If you're getting married and thinking of a prenup, that's a good time to take those assets in the statements. But you want to be aware that you will need to go back in time during a divorce to divide your assets if there is either a premarital and postmarital component, or if there's an active passive change in the assets. So let me summarize. You need to understand first that distribution is not equal, not 50-50, but it's based on equity and what's fair. You need to understand what is pre and postmarital, what is active and passive. And lastly, whether or not those have changed in any way, and be able to document the values at the times before and after the changes. I hope that information helps. If it does, please give a like and share this video. You can do that on any platform that you're watching it, YouTube, Twitter, Facebook. You can share it, you can like it. You can also subscribe on Twitter and YouTube if you want to get notices when I go online so that you can watch more often. I also will do whatever I can to answer any questions, so feel free to send me any comments or messages with questions or suggestions for future topics. With that, I'm going to sign off. I should be on tomorrow, probably 3 o'clock also. If there's something you'd like me to cover, please message me before then. Thanks and have a great night.